sawa.
Pengine ameweza kukuelezea ni vipi ameweza kujifikisha Embu na alikuwa wapi?
Sasa hiyo tutaongea baadaye. Mtoto nimesema amefika na kwa sawa, na mimi ningewashukuru Wakenya wote sababu ya maombi. Ningeshukuru kanisa sababu ya maombi. Kila mtu ameniombea na akalia na mimi. Maombi yetu yote tumeisikia, na mpaka mheshimiwa huyu tulikuwa naye tunaomba kwa kanisa mpaka kwa nyumba, na mimi nimeshukuru. Mtoto wako na ako sawa. Mpaka saa hii we have not recovered from that happiness because it was really a trauma, but now that he has come, hiyo mambo yote ya shida na nini, let us just keep it behind us. Tunashukuru Mungu, wale watu wote wameomba na sisi, wale watu wote wameshikana na sisi, watu wote wa Embu wote.
Ladies and gentlemen, the abductees were released and dumped in various places. One was dumped in Nyeri and it find his way to Embu. Another one was dumped in Machakos. Another one in Kitale. And then there is Kibet, the bull, whom I've just seen 6 minutes ago, that he was dumped in Luanda town. I think Luanda town is in Vihiga. That's had to be corrected. And when I look at this, a number of people affiliated to William Samoei Ruto's government were pointing an accusing finger to Rigathi Gachagua. And I was left with many questions. Why would they blame Rigathi Gachagua? Why would they say that Rigathi Gachagua was behind the abductions? Maybe that is why somebody was dumped in Nyeri to point an accusing figure to Rigathi Gachagua, and Kitale to appoint an accusing figure to George Natembeya, the Trans Nzoia governor. But if that is the case, if Gachagua is responsible for these abductions, then the government has lost it. If Gachagua is in charge of abductions, our security agents have lost it. If Gachagua is in charge of these abductions, if he is responsible for these abductions, it means we have another powerful government outside the constitutionally elected government. That is what those who are telling us are actually doing. And if the Gachagua is the person behind this, if he is responsible, then we cannot understand why the government has not arrested him and aligned him in court. So that is just a propaganda. It is a lie, and Kenyans have rejected it. I don't know what you think about this idea of trying to accuse Gachagua as the person behind this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at the reason why, in my view, these victims were released. Number one, in my view, you remember pressure had been piling up. Today, women were out in sacks and were ready to hit the road. Already they were in Nairobi. There was also some demonstration in, I think, in Mombasa. And the funny thing is that the government was now feeling the pressure that these demonstrations could actually interfere with the running of the government, could actually interfere with what is happening in the country, including the businesses. So the pressure of demonstrations, the pressure from the human rights organization, the pressure from the youth, university students and human rights is something that was actually giving the government sleepless night. Number two, ICC was being invited in Kenya, and ICC is expected or was expected to come and start investigating. And to deflate or to remove that chance, the abductees said to be released, and to ensure that ICC does not step in Kenya, because you see, ICC, if invited, would actually come and start investigating, because there was a feeling that the police were involved in these abductions because they were not doing anything. And because this was actually terror against citizens by what people thought was actually the government that was doing it, then it means that ICC sent fear down the spines of the government operatives. And nobody would like to see the International Criminal Court investigating crimes against humanity in Kenya. Number 3, in my view, why the abductees were released today. Remember, Gachagua identified the house where they were being locked in Nairobi, the city center. Gachagua also named an individual who looked like a very senior person in the government. And this means that the people were actually taking Gachagua very seriously. The fact that Gachagua had been in government, was in the heart of the government, knows very well what was happening in this country. So Gachagua's people were saying, when you listen to the people, they were saying Gachagua is right. What Gachagua was saying is true. And people are very, very keen. That means that people are zeroing in on the people who are actually behind these abductions. And you see, when they realized that they were being cornered, the only thing they could do is to release them. There is also pressure from the international community, especially the American embassy. In fact, American embassy had put a lot of pressure on the government, asking the government to take the necessary actions, asking the government to account for the lost and missing people. And the fact that this thing was taking an international angle is something that was actually sending fear in the government. The fact that Trump also is coming into office, and most likely people are expecting that Trump, in due course, was going to mention this and maybe embarrass the government, then these people had to be released, whatever the case. There is also the issue of Raila Amolo Odinga. I noted somewhere a conversation in our WhatsApp group, it was in the social media, where some citizens, not from Kenya, were arguing about the candidacy of Raila Amolo Odinga in the African Union. And they were asking, one person was asking, how are they going to support Raila Amolo Odinga? Why should Raila Amolo Odinga be voted for as the chairman? And his government, because he's in government, he's supporting William Samoei Ruto, has not been able to release the abductees. How was he expected to preside over the affairs of the African continent while in his home country there were problems? And I think this one could have actually touched a low nerve, because you see, according to Kenya Kwanza administration, the Raila issue of African Union is a matter of life and death, and he should win at all cost. They have invested a lot. They have banked on Raila's candidacy so much because of maybe what they expect after Raila win. There is also the issue of Kenyan rallying and coming together. You know, what had happened is that these abductors had managed to unite Kenyans against the government. If you ask anybody who is to blame, who is the villain, everybody would say it is the government. And the government was cornered. Everybody was talking about abductions, abductions, abductions. Everywhere. It was the issue. It was the thing that was being discussed everywhere. And the government felt that it was losing it. So it was only fair for the government to facilitate the release of the victims. I don't know what you think, but from where I sit, that could be the reason why these people were released. The beauty of it is that they are alive, and though they are complaining of issues here and there, others maybe are taken to hospital. I think the fact that they have come out, I know they have a story to tell. I know Kenyans will be waiting to hear their story, because until the story of the hunter is told, nobody will ever tell the story. Have a blessed evening. Bye-bye.